Picture this: the glow of a street lamp on a quiet cul-de-sac, curtains drawn across tidy windows, and the faint hum of a television in the distance. From the outside, it looked like paradise, America at its peak. But step past the polished smiles and magazine covers, and you'll find a world of hidden rituals, routines, and secrets that rarely made the headlines. The 1950s housewife wasn't just keeping house, she was running an empire. Every day demanded strategy, precision, and a kind of discipline most of us can barely imagine today. No microwaves to speed up meals, no dishwashers to lighten the load, no apps to organize the chaos. And yet, homes sparkled, dinners appeared like clockwork, and children were raised with manners and responsibility. How? Through an unspoken system of clever hacks and time-tested rituals that turned ordinary women into masters of efficiency. But here's the twist. What we think of as simple times were anything but simple. These women woke before dawn, balancing appearance with duty, community with family, and exhaustion with grace. They had to be resourceful, stretching budgets, managing households like CEOs, and solving problems with tools so basic they'd seem primitive today. Still, they pulled it off, day after day, creating a sense of order that feels almost mythical now. And that's where the real fascination lies. Behind every flawless dinner table, every pressed shirt, and every shining floor were secrets, small, brilliant strategies that made the impossible look effortless. They weren't just chores, they were survival tactics wrapped in elegance. Each routine tells a story of resilience, ingenuity, and quiet strength that deserves to be remembered. Now imagine uncovering those forgotten methods, not as dusty traditions, but as living lessons. Imagine reclaiming a sense of rhythm in your own life, where routines don't overwhelm you, but free you. That's the hidden legacy of the 1950s housewife, a blueprint for turning daily chaos into balance and ordinary tasks into something extraordinary. So buckle up. We're about to peel back the curtain on a golden era that wasn't nearly as effortless as it looked. Once you see the truth behind the picture-perfect image, you'll never think of the 1950s or housewives the same way again. Step back into the golden glow of 1950s America, where the picture-perfect suburban home wasn't just a dream from glossy magazines, but an everyday performance built on secrets. Imagine lace curtains swaying in the morning light, the smell of fresh coffee drifting through the kitchen, and a housewife already moving swiftly through her routine long before the world outside woke up. But behind those perfect smiles in retro TV commercials lay hidden rituals and forgotten routines, clever hacks and strategies that made family life run smoothly in a time before dishwashers, microwaves, or convenience foods. These weren't just chores, they were survival tactics, secrets of a lost lifestyle that still feel magical today. Post-World War II America was booming. Suburbs sprouted like wildflowers, new cars lined freshly paved driveways, and televisions flickered in nearly every living room. The ideal woman of the era? The 1950s housewife, painted by Good Housekeeping and Ladies' Home Journal as flawless, graceful, and tireless. She cooked 3 meals a day, ironed crisp shirts and scrubbed floors until they shined, and still managed to greet her husband with lipstick perfectly in place. But here's the twist. It wasn't effortless. These women worked harder than most people realize, yet they also mastered a system of small, brilliant tricks, forgotten treasures of daily life that we'll never see again, unless we dig them up. The first secret was a ritual that began before sunrise. With no snooze buttons to rely on, the alarm clock jolted them awake at 5 a.m. Why so early? Because appearance wasn't vanity, it was armor. Before the children stirred, a housewife slipped into her robe, splashed cold water on her face, and began her quiet transformation. Hair set the night before in pin curls or rollers, skin treated with Pond's cold cream, a quick sweep of powder, penciled eyebrows, and the bold swipe of classic red lipstick. In less than half an hour, she looked polished and ready for whatever the day demanded. But the real secret was confidence. Being put together meant she could welcome unexpected guests, run errands, or face judgmental neighbors without a trace of embarrassment. It was strategy disguised as glamour, and it turned ordinary mornings into a performance of strength. By mid-morning, the house was alive with purpose. After sending her husband to work and children to school with hearty breakfasts, eggs, toast, and fresh-squeezed orange juice, no shortcuts allowed, she turned to her greatest weapon, a weekly chore schedule. Monday was wash day, and laundry meant hard labor. Whites and colors sorted, stains pre-treated with homemade remedies like baking soda and vinegar, clothes wrung out through a heavy mangle. Tuesday brought ironing and mending, transforming every shirt and dress into something fresh and crisp. Wednesday tackled bedrooms and bathrooms with Bone Ami cleanser and endless scrubbing. Thursday focused on linens and living rooms, vacuuming rugs with those roaring Hoover models. Friday was for groceries and defrosting the freezer. Saturday meant lighter tasks like baking a pie, while Sunday belonged to rest and family. This system wasn't glamorous, but it was genius, preventing burnout and keeping the home sparkling without overwhelming chaos. Shopping in the 1950s wasn't a quick stop at a megastore. It was a community ritual. Housewives carried baskets to the butcher, the baker, the corner grocer. They clipped coupons from the daily newspaper and stretched every dollar until it squeaked. The hidden advantage? Relationships. A familiar smile to the butcher might earn the freshest cut of meat or a special discount. The grocer would quietly suggest what produce was in season and most affordable. These errands weren't lonely chores, they were social lifelines. In a world where suburban living could feel isolating, shopping built friendships, kept women connected, and turned routine errands into treasured moments. Behind every polished home was the art of planning. Lists written the night before, tasks grouped by room, menus organized for the week ahead. Nothing was left to chance. While modern life often feels chaotic, 1950s routines ran like clockwork. Even children were folded into the system, taught to set tables, put away toys, or help hang laundry on the line. These small responsibilities gave kids a sense of duty and freed their mothers for a rare coffee break. This wasn't just housework, it was life management, decades before the phrase time blocking ever existed. What made these secrets extraordinary was their simplicity. No microwaves, no smartphones, no apps for reminders, just determination, clever routines, and a sprinkle of grace. Imagine your own mornings beginning with confidence instead of chaos, or your home kept tidy with small daily bursts instead of endless weekend clean-a-thons. The truth is, the retro life hacks of 1950s housewives weren't about perfection. They were about consistency, balance, and finding joy in the little victories. Forgotten? Maybe. Lost forever? Not if we bring them back. So next time you hear the phrase simpler times, remember, it wasn't easy, but it was clever, resourceful, and filled with secrets worth rediscovering. If you enjoyed this trip back to the hidden side of suburban life, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. There are plenty more forgotten memories and retro routines waiting to be uncovered. And tell us in the comments, what's one vintage secret you'd bring back today? All right, picking up where we left off. Afternoon has arrived in the 1950s America, and our picture-perfect housewife is just hitting her stride. The morning hustle is behind her, but the real magic is only beginning. Because if you thought spotless kitchens and polished lipstick were the whole story, think again. Hidden in those cozy suburban homes were clever meal hacks, secret routines, and forgotten treasures of daily life that turned ordinary afternoons into quiet masterpieces. Welcome back to a world of retro life hacks and secrets lost forever. Until now. By lunchtime, the kitchen became an efficiency hub. A tuna salad sandwich on rye, maybe leftover roast from Sunday, simple, nourishing meals that kept everyone fueled. But the real genius came in planning dinners. These housewives didn't wing it. Every Sunday evening, menus were mapped out, influenced by grocery sales in the paper and whatever sat waiting in the pantry. Ground beef on sale? Meatloaf Monday. Fresh fish arriving from the market? Friday night special. The hidden trick? Batch prepping. Veggies chopped in one go, casseroles assembled early, and one-pot wonders that saved hours of cleanup. Leftovers weren't waste, they were opportunities. Roast chicken became chicken salad, mashed potatoes morphed into croquettes, and vegetables were tucked into casseroles so even picky eaters stayed healthy. Electric mixers, blenders, and pressure cookers offered a glimpse of modern convenience, but creativity was still queen. Even the simplest dish could shine with a sprig of parsley or a Jell-O mold centerpiece. Dessert was often homemade, apple pie, rice pudding, or colorful gelatin creations. But the secret wasn't just feeding stomachs, it was feeding bonds. Dinner in 1950s America was sacred. Families gathered around the table, no television distractions, no phones, just conversation and connection, something we've almost forgotten today. Afternoons often brought a different rhythm, one that blended productivity with social savvy. Bridge clubs, PTA meetings, sewing circles, these weren't just hobbies, they were lifelines. A sewing session doubled as a chance to share recipes, gossip, or child-rearing advice. In the sprawling quiet of the suburbs, these meetups fought off loneliness and built invisible networks of support. Housewives looked perfect in public, but behind the smiles, expectations weighed heavy. That's why they mastered the art of the midday refresh. A quick comb through the hair, a dab of powder, and fresh lipstick meant they could welcome neighbors or their husbands without looking worn out. This balance of duty and self-care wasn't frivolous, it was survival. It gave women confidence, community, and the strength to endure the pressure of being flawless. Forgotten routines like this remind us how resilience was often hidden under elegance. By early evening, the house shifted again. Kids were home from school, homework supervised at the kitchen table, baths drawn, bedtime stories read. All the while, tomorrow was already being prepared. Clothes laid out neatly, lunches packed, breakfast table set before lights out. These small steps shaved off precious morning minutes, creating a sense of calm before the storm. When husbands arrived home around 6, dinner was hot, children were presentable, and the housewife herself looked as fresh as if she hadn't been working all day. Afterward came a light tidy-up, maybe some knitting or reading. Hobbies weren't just pastimes, they were practical. A scarf for winter, a dress hemmed, or a quilt slowly stitched together. Every action served a purpose, even the quiet ones. But let's not sugarcoat it. Behind the polished image, real pressure simmered. Society demanded perfection, and many women silently shouldered exhaustion and dissatisfaction. Betty Friedan later called it the problem that has no name, that quiet unhappiness of being trapped in a role too small for their spirit. Some turned to friends for support, others to doctors, where prescriptions like tranquilizers became disturbingly common. Yet even here, resilience shone through. Housewives found meaning in small victories, a sparkling floor, a child's smile, or a successful PTA fundraiser. Church work, school volunteering, and neighborhood projects offered purpose beyond their own walls. The hidden secret to endurance wasn't perfection, it was finding joy in ordinary triumphs. Looking back, The world of the 1950s housewife was a fascinating blend of discipline and creativity. Today, we have microwaves, frozen meals, and smartphones to keep us on track. But what we've lost is the intentional rhythm, the structure, the focus, and the small rituals that turn chores into art. No more daily market chats, no more family dinners without screens, no more pride in a polished table setting. Maybe it's time we borrow a page from their playbook. Imagine trading doom scrolling for a quiet half hour of knitting, or bringing back Sunday menu planning to make the week feel lighter. Nostalgiacore isn't just an aesthetic, it's a reminder of a slower, more deliberate way of life. So, as the lamps dim in that tidy 1950s living room, we're left with lessons that still matter: resilience, resourcefulness, and the beauty of ordinary routines. From meal prep mastery to social smarts, these secrets shaped a generation, and they can still inspire us today. If you enjoyed this nostalgic journey, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more forgotten memories and retro life hacks. And tell us in the comments, what's one family ritual you'd love to bring back from the past?